And I describe our system in the United States because that's how you must reach for the future that you deserve. A future where a single prisoner of conscience is one too many. You need to reach for a future where the law is stronger than any single leader because it's accountable to the people. You need to reach for a future where no child is made to be a soldier and no woman is exploited, and where the laws protect them, even if they're vulnerable, even if they're weak. A future where national security is strengthened by a military that serves under civilians, and a constitution that guarantees that only those who are elected by the people may govern. On that journey, America will support you every step of the way by using our assistance to empower civil society, by engaging your military to promote professionalism and human rights, and by partnering with you as you connect your progress towards democracy with economic. So advancing that journey will help you pursue a second freedom, the belief that all people should be free from want. It's not enough to trade a prison of powerlessness for the pain of an empty stomach. But history shows that governments of the people and by the people and for the people are far more powerful in delivering prosperity. And that's the partnership we seek with you. You know, when ordinary people have a say in their own future, then your land can't just be taken away from you. And that's why reforms must ensure that the people of this nation can have that most fundamental of possessions, the right to own the title to the land on which you live and on which you work. When your talents are unleashed, then opportunity will be created for all people. America is lifting our ban on companies doing business here, and your government has lifted restrictions on investment and taken steps to open up your economy. And now, as more wealth flows into your borders, we hope and expect that it will lift up more people. It can't just help folks at the top. It has to help everybody. And that kind of economic growth, where everybody has opportunity. If you work hard, you can succeed. That's what gets a nation moving rapidly when it comes to development. But that kind of growth can only be created if corruption is left behind. For investment to lead to opportunity, reform must promote budgets that are transparent, and industry that is privately owned. To lead by example, America now insists that our companies meet high standards of openness and transparency if they're doing business here. And we'll work with organizations like the World Bank to support small businesses and to promote an economy that allows entrepreneurs, small business people, to thrive and allows workers to keep what they earn. And I very much welcome your government's recent decision to join what we've called our Open Government Partnership, so that citizens can come to expect accountability and learn exactly how monies are spent and how your system of government operates. Above all, when your voices are heard in government, it's far more likely that your basic needs will be met. And that's why reform must reach the daily lives of those who are hungry and those who are ill and those who live without electricity or water. And here too, America will do our part working with you. You know, today I was proud to reestablish our USAID mission in this country, which is our lead development agency. And the United States wants to be a partner in helping this country, which used to be the rice bowl of Asia, to reestablish its capacity to feed its people and to care for its sick and educate its children and build its democratic institutions as you continue down the path of reform. This country is famous for its natural resources, and they must be protected against exploitation.
No, that's right.
Let us remember that in a global economy, a country's greatest resource is its people. So by investing in you, this nation can open the door for far more prosperity because unlocking a nation's potential depends on empowering all its people, especially its young people.
Mm-hmm.
Just as education is the key to America's future, it is going to be the key to your future as well. And so we look forward to working with you, as we have with many of your neighbors, to extend that opportunity and to deepen exchanges among our students. We want students from this country to travel to the United States and learn from us, and we want U.S. students to come here and learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
This truth leads me to the third freedom that I want to discuss, the freedom of worship. The freedom to worship as you please, and your right to basic human dignity. This country, like my own country, is blessed with diversity. Not everybody looks the same. Not everybody comes from the same region. Not everybody worships in the same way. In your cities and towns, there are pagodas and temples and mosques and churches standing side by side. Well over 100 ethnic groups have been a part of your story. Yet within these borders, we've seen some of the world's longest-running insurgencies, which have cost countless lives and torn families and communities apart and stood in the way of development. No process of reform will succeed without national reconciliation. Well, you now have a moment of remarkable opportunity to transform ceasefires into lasting settlements and to pursue peace where conflicts still linger, including Kachin State. Those efforts must lead to a more just and lasting peace, including humanitarian access to those in need, and a chance for the displaced to return home. Today we look at the recent violence in Rangoon State that has caused so much suffering, and we see the danger of continued tensions there. For too long, the people of this state, including ethnic Rangoon, have faced crushing poverty and persecution. But there's no excuse for violence against innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rohingya hold within themselves the same dignity as you do and I do. National reconciliation will take time, but for the sake of our common humanity and for the sake of this country's future, it's necessary to stop incitement and to stop violence. And I welcome the government's commitment to address the issues of injustice and accountability and humanitarian access and citizenship. That's a vision that the world will support as you move forward. Every nation struggles to define citizenship. America has had great debates about these issues, and those debates continue to this day because we're a nation of immigrants, people coming from every different part of the world. But what we've learned in the United States is that there are certain principles that are universal, apply to everybody, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter what religion you practice.
Mm-hmm.
The right of people to live without the threat that their families may be harmed or their homes may be burned simply because of who they are or where they come from. Only the people of this country ultimately can define your union, can define what it means to be a citizen of this country. But I have confidence that as you do that, you can draw on the diversity as a strength and not a weakness. Your country will be stronger because of many different cultures. But you have to seize that opportunity. You have to recognize that strength. I say this because my own country and my own life have taught me the power of diversity. You have the United States of America as a nation of Christians and Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus and non-believers. Our story is shaped by every language. It's enriched by every culture. We have people from every corners of the world. We've tasted the bitterness of civil war and segregation. But our history shows us that hatred in the human heart can recede. that the lines between races and tribes can fade away. And what's left is a simple truth. E pluribus unum. That's what we say in America. Out of many, we are one nation, and we are one people. And that truth has time and again made our union stronger. It has made our country stronger. It's part of what has made America great. We amended our Constitution to extend the democratic principles that we hold dear. And I stand before you today as president of the most powerful nation on earth, but recognizing that once the color of my skin would have denied me the right to vote. And so that should give you some sense that if our country can transcend its differences, then yours can too. Every human being within these borders is a part of your nation's story, and you should embrace that. That's not a source of weakness, that's a source of strength, if you recognize it. And that brings me to the final freedom that I'll discuss today, and that is the right of all people to live free from fear. In many ways, fear is the force that stands between human beings and their dreams. Fear of conflict and the weapons of war, fear of a future that's different from the past, fear of changes that are reordering our societies and our economy, fear of people who look different or come from a different place or worship in a different way. In some of her darkest moments, when Aung San Suu Kyi was imprisoned, she wrote an essay about freedom from fear. She said, "Fear of losing corrupts those who wield it. Fear of losing power corrupts those who wield it. And fear of the scourge of power corrupts those who are subject to it." That's the fear that you can leave behind. We see that chance in leaders who are beginning to understand that power comes from appealing to people's hopes, not people's fears. We see it in citizens who insist that this time must be different, that this time change will come and will continue. As Aung San Suu Kyi wrote, "Fear is not the natural state of civilized man." I believe that. And today, you are showing the world that fear does not have to be the natural state of life in this country. That's why I'm here. That's why I came to Rangoon. And that's why what happens here is so important, not only to this region, but to the world. Because you're taking a journey that has the potential to inspire so many people. This is a test of whether a country can transition to a better place. The United States of America is a Pacific nation, and we see our future as bound to those nations and peoples to our west. And as our economy recovers, this is where we believe we'll find enormous growth. As we've ended the wars that have dominated our foreign policy for a decade, this region will be a focus for our efforts to build a prosperous peace. Here in Southeast Asia, we see the potential for integration among nations and people. And as president, I've embraced ASEAN for reasons that go beyond the fact that I spent some of my childhood in this region, in Indonesia. Because with ASEAN, we see nations that are on the move, nations that are growing and democracies that are emerging, governments that are cooperating, progress that's building on the diversity that spans oceans and islands and jungles and cities, peoples of every race and every religion. This is what the 21st century should look like, if we have the courage to put aside our differences and move forward with a sense of mutual interest and mutual respect. And here, in Rangoon, I want to send a message across Asia. We don't need to be defined by the prisons of the past. We need to look forward to the future.
Right.
To the leadership of North Korea, I've offered a choice. Let go of your nuclear weapons and choose the path of peace and progress. If you do, you'll find an extended hand from the United States of America. In 2012, we don't need to cling to the divisions of East, West, and North and South. We welcome